Shalom. We are reading in the writings. Sorry writings of Rash article Y is the Torah called midline in the what. One, you can find the study material in info system. If you have a question in the study HP, stand up, hold the mic close to your mouth and speak loudly and clearly. Yes, this is a very important article, so go ahead. Please, 2. What is the Torah called middle line in the what? 1. Common. See, each day when the sun rises, a single bird awakens on a tree in the Garden of Eden and calls 3 times, and the announcer calls out loud, who among you who sees and does any see who are in the world without knowing the exist and do not observe the glory of the Master? The Torah stands before them and they do not delve in it. It would be better for them not to be created than to be created, and he interprets therein theme as follows. Seeing is those who cling to the left line and not to the right. See and do not see, since the on the left does not shine without clothing in the light of on the right. Hence, even though those there, namely that they see, they still do not receive for the lack of clothing. Off add, this is why they do not see, is written, who are in the world not knowing why they exist. This is said to those who cling to the right and not to the left, who have sustenance in the world through the light of, however they do not know why they exist, mean they lack God, since illumination of the right without the left is without a head. They do not observe the glory of the Master. The Torah stands before them and they do not delve in it. Means mid line is this called Torah. She unites the 2 lines with one another. We should understand why if they advance on the right, which is when they work in order to bestow. Why is this regarded as not observing the glory of their Master? After all, they're engaging only in bestow upon the Creator, because he's great and ruling, and not in order to receive reward and vitalities that they increase the glory of heaven. This is why they do all their deeds in order to bestow. We should also understand why those who have already been rewarded with which is regarded as the purpose of creation are regarded as not observing the glory of their Master only when they take upon themselves the tar, for the tar is called middle line, and only they are regarded as observing the glory of their Master, for only through the Torah they come to glorify their Master. We've spoken many times about the 2 matters before, as one, the purpose of creation, which is for the loved ones to receive the light and pleasure, meaning that all the creatures will feel how the Creator behaves with them in attainment of the good, who does good, as our sages interpreted good, since he's God to him. Other words, a person feels that he receives from the Creator only good, and doing good to others means that he sees that the Creator does good to others. 2 is the correction of creation, which is that in order not to have the bread of shame for the creatures, not to feel shame while receiving light and pleasure, a correction was made pleasure, and the good will not shine on the world to receive for one's own sake only, when the creatures can aim in order to bestow at that time delight and pleasure pour onto the creatures. But this is only for the world to exist before they come to the correction of being able to bestow, for the creatures to be able to exist not of delight, pleasure. They cannot exist in the world, for the need for the delight and pleasure comes to the created beings from the purpose of creation, which is to do good to his creations. He says that the light and pleasure come from the breaking of the vessels in the world, or when they fell down to the pot, the shells, which there calls a slim light, which is a very thin light compared to the delight and pleasure bestowed upon those who are in holiness, meaning compared to the delight and pleasure revealed in. It is written in the Zohar that there are 613 commandments opposite the 613 organs of the soul, but the sparks of holiness fell to the shells only in order to sustain them. However, the order of the work is to begin from the right. There are many meanings to right, and it is understood according to the context. In other words, wholeness is always called right compared to the incomplete, but what is complete, what is incomplete depends on the matter and discussion at the time. In other words, what we need according to the situation, this is called right. Therefore, when a person is far from, he's regarded as being on the left. That his holiness is called right, which is man's wholeness when he observes T. And when we begin to speak of holiness, we do not speak of those people who are far from observing. We do not speak at all about those who are far from religion, the secular. Once the state in which we begin to speak is that they observe T, and only in actions they are regarded as one line, though we cannot speak of right if there is no left opposite of vice versa. Therefore, in this regard, those who begin the work in actions are called one line. Hey, here is the beginning, but compared to secular people who have no connection to reason, they are considered right, for they have wholeness, while the secular ones are called left. Is when we begin to speak of people who want to work with the aim to bestow, we must say that people who work only in actions are incomplete. At that time you must call though left, meaning that they have no wholeness. Conversely, those who want to work in order to bestow should be called right. However, if we speak in terms of the feeling of the worker himself, and that with respect to the truth about the order of degrees, then we should say that this person who works only in actions feels the state and observing T. Oh, therefore to him the state is regarded as walking on the right, meaning wholeness. Also they feel the work in intentions as they lack, since they see that they cannot emerge from the governance of the receiver, for on follows that he feels this deficiency. Hence we should say that this is considered left. That is, normally we say that something that requires correction is called left, as our sages said that we on the left hand, since it is written, a hand a weak hand, since its power has winded and it needs help. This reason those who want to do the holy work in a manner that has wholeness to do everything in order to bestow, when they criticize their work and see that they are still not fine, that state is called left, compared to the work and actions without an intention. In other words, a person must use the act as well. A person should say that although he cannot do something in order to bestow, he still feels himself as whole. With respect to actions, he says that it is a great privilege that he can nonetheless perform acts of holiness even without an intention. It is a great privilege that the Creator awarded him, and the thought and desire to engage in only in actions without an intention. And this is called right, because he feels that he's in wholeness. But it is worthwhile to give thanks to the Creator for this. Therefore afterwards, when he shifts to the intention and sees that he is deficient, all he needs is to pray that the Creator will help him and give him the power to be able to work with the aim to best. This is called left, compared to the previous state, when he has already been rewarded with the Creator helping him when he can already work in order to bestow, though only in acts of bestow, for the acts of bestow are easier to him in order to bestow, to aim in order to bestow, whereas the acts of reception of pleasure he still cannot aim to bestow, and the state is called right. But it is called right compared to the previous state, when he wants to work in order to bestow but does not succeed. This is called left, and there he has a place for prayer, that the Creator will help him be able to aim in order to bestow. But now that the Creator has helped him and he can aim in order to bestow with acts of bestow, now he must give thanks for the wholeness he has. Now this is called right, and this light is called the light, of which is considered the correction of creation, when he has the power to perform actions in order to bestow. Although with regard to the correction the state is regarded as wholeness, with regard to the purpose of creation that state is still not regarded as wholeness, because he must achieve the purpose of creation. For this reason it is considered right from the perspective of wholeness, and he must thank the Creator for being rewarded with vessels of bestow, with aiming in order to bestow. But with regard to the absence of correction of the purpose of creation, it is considered a lack. Therefore if he has been rewarded with receiving the purpose of creation called light, of this is certainly regarded as complete wholeness, compared to the state where he was rewarded with only light, of called light of the correction. Creation should have called right. That state too is considered incomplete small, hence it's called left, which requires correction even though they extended the light of in order to bestow still needs guarding, because the act of reception of pleasure contradicts the intention which should be in order to bestow. For this reason we must extend the middle line, meaning light, of which now includes both as well. Incorporation merging of there are two things: one, the correction of creation; two, the purpose creation. This is called TOA, or middle line, which is included from the right, and from the left time we can use the light of the purpose of creation, which is the delight and pleasure that the Creator wants to impart upon his creation, which is the purpose of creation. This means that before there, with the light of the purpose of creation cannot shine there, since the two qualities must be there together. This is called T. Now we can understand what we asked: why people who walk in the quality of the right, whose works are only to bestow, and who have been rewarded with the abundance called light, are regarded as not observing the glory of their master. So those who have already emerged from the right and have already been rewarded with are still considered as not observing the glory of their master, and the toe stands before them, yet they do not delve in this is very difficult to understand if we are speaking of people who have already been rewarded with, and people who have been rewarded with that they are not delving in. Then can we say this according to what we explained before? Right means light of, which is only the correction of creation. It follows that as long as they do not engage in extending the light of the purpose of creation, which is what the Creator wants to give to the created beings, the delight and pleasure where his greatness is revealed, called the revelation of his godliness to his Creatures time his glory is revealed to the created. Beings follows that they are not looking at the glory of their master which will be revealed to the created. Beings this is the main deficiency for which meaning to reveal his godliness in the world which is the purpose of creation to reveal his godliness to the created. Beings for the created beings to receive the full all the restrictions and corrections to place follows that those who walk only on the right which is the correction of creation there is certainly a key deficiency. Here that is they did everything except for what is most important meaning the goal. This is why it is considered that they are not observing the glory of the master also those who have already been rewarded with the light of which is the purpose of creation. We asked what else do they need? The answer is that since those a will that the light of HMA cannot shine to the lions without a clothing of light, or since the light of comes in vessels reception, so although we drew the light in order to bestow he still needs safeguarding from being drawn after the act as he's using the vessels of reception. Reason he must extend clothing that is light, or which dresses in the vessels of which is considered the correction of creation, and although he extended the light of the purpose of creation he can use it because it does not shine without a clothing of. Naturally he too is not observing, in other words the purpose of creation does not become revealed in him to see the revelation of his godliness, as it is written that those who walk on the left also do not observe the glory of their master. This is the meaning of what is written. The Torah stands before them and they do not exert in it. The Torah means the middle landing called Torah which unites the two lines with one another words through the Torah the middle line, where there are two qualities together, meaning the purpose of creation, namely the revelation of his godliness to his creatures which is called the glory of the master, and there is also the clothing of the correction of creation called light, offered which is considered right. For this reason when those two are separated of creation cannot shine to the created beings. This is considered that they are not observing the glory of their master. Once they delve in the Torah the purpose of creation shines, in other words the Zohar. In the words of the Zohar this is called the Torah, and Israel and the Creator are one. Now we can understand what we said, that the Hanukkah candle is on the left and its light must not be used because the left which is was already extended to the creatures, but as long as they do not extend the middle line which is regarded to so as to have light is to have right and left together, the light does not shine to the extent that they can use it due to absence of clothing of which comes through light but they extended the offered cold right fasting and crying out, as is explained in the study of the tea. It turns out that although in Kanika they were complete from the right side, when they shifted to the left to extend they no longer had the of the right. This means that they extend after the extension of his cold left is called middle line follows that then on there was a state of you parked here, that is they had the quality of the right. Miracle was that they had right in Holis, the quality of the left did not have so they left the middle line which is the hands on Shabbat which is the middle line. The candles are for use. This is called peace at homeless. In wisdom is a house built reason between the Shabbat candle and the Hanukkah candle. The Shabbat candle precedes and Shabbat indicates. Hence there is the quality of cold middle line which bestows upon the mal-cold house. For this reason the Shabbat candle comes to imply wholeness. This is why Shabbat is called Shabbat of peace, which is the middle line makes peace between the lines which are called left, right, and left. It follows from the above that the miracle of Hanukkah was on the right, called the correction of creation, but they are wholeness. This is called that the miracle was over spirituality, since the vessels of bestow called spirituality from the perspective of the vessels, and these vessels pertain to the bro inclination. Conversely, vessels of reception are attributed to corporeality, meaning to the evil inclination, as we explained. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, meaning with both your inclinations, that is with a good inclination which is vessels of bestow. We should work for the sake of the Creator, also with the vessels of reception which belong to the evil inclination. They too must be used for the sake of the Creator, need to receive in order to bestow. It follows that Anak says that are both regarded as left. The Kanika candle is on the left, although the right is called wholeness from the perspective of the vessels of bestow. The fact that the left illuminated meaning without, and it is forbidden to use without, but this in itself is a great thing. They extended the purpose of creation. It is still forbidden to use light. Therefore Huka, it is considered that the miracle was in spirituality because it is forbidden to move without. This is why it is considered a spiritual miracle which still did not come down, so we can use it in that respect. Hanukkah is considered a spiritual miracle both from the perspective of the right and from the perspective of the left, since the midline was still missing. Are there any questions? In our study we go on the right, but the left line awakens what? Awakens. It is awakened from above because it pertains to the purpose. Creation in our study specifically makes the left line awaken, contrary to others where we read about they go on the right but the left do not awaken. If people are not connected to the purpose of creation, then the left line does not awaken in them. Does it have to do with the teacher or the method of the study? It has to do with man's soul down. Okay. Entirely. Clearly do mean they extend, but they can't use it. They in order to use, you have to prepare vessels. First, this is why the light of when it comes it upgrades itself, and that person has to check whether he's capable of working with the light of in order to bestow, and this is why it doesn't come at once. So what was the miracle? Canica the right was in wholeness. They had the correction of creation and wholeness, and there was an extension of the, but you still couldn't use it. No, you can't use it. We just realize that there are vessels that have to be corrected, but it is not yet the time. This is only Hanukkah a pause, and we need to use it only for the purpose of preparation. So what is the miracle? Here the miracle of Hanukkah is that nevertheless we can prepare the vessels for the light, or so that the light of will be revealed in these vessels and correct them, and this is the correction of the vessels. Nevertheless it's a great correction light offered to wells and all the vessels of reception. How to make it so that later on the letter will be revealed. These are already the corrections. Assist that we don't look at the honor of the master, that only the left line is whole. There's no wholeness until the end of correction must be right and wholeness, or left and wholeness, but it's not true wholeness. No, it's not wholeness. Yes, why is it the light offered cold clothing? Because it is intended to clothe within it the light of, and only in such a way is the light of received within the wilt receive. So what should a person wear? Person should wear the light of, and later on the light of. What does it mean to wear the light of that? All of his intentions will be in order to be and to be still, in order to be still. Again from the ass, why is it that without the left line we can't work in the wholeness of the right? Because the right line is not used if it doesn't work with the left line. How to correctly keep the impractical actions and spiritual work. This is according to how we advance, and we discover greater and greater desires to receive the lights that correct them and feel them. According to that we come closer to the purpose of creation. PT6. What does it mean that in P they extended the lights offered through fasting and prize a special usage of the vessels of reception, which are called fasting and crying out. We draw the lights that for the time being correct for us the vessels of reception. Again thank yes. Morning when we started to read the article, I immediately remember that the what you told us the state you got the SHTI book from Rabash, and one of the students of Rash, when you read it, Rash prohibited from giving it to him because he said he's missing the left line or a hole. They feel corrected on there. Hard you weren't allowed to give him the SH article. What does it mean that the left L was missing? I cannot explain. The person should open up by himself his nature and see in which direction, or what is he drawn to, what does he belong to. It is the bid, and each one should discover it by himself. The most important is to be together with everyone. This is the safe trail that leads to the goal, in whichever way it all comes together, there it will come together. Again he writes here that those who walk only on the right, which is the correction of creation, certainly there's a deficiency, meaning they've done everything but the main thing is lacking, meaning the goal. How can they walk on the right and there's no goal? They are complete adhesion to work with a vessel. A bestow also on the left line on the left side in order to receive, but in order to reach a state where there is a correction of creation, you need to have the goal of the complete correction to be before you, and that will lead you to correction. Let's say so. How can they be lacking in the goal? That's what I'm asking. How can it be that the goal is missing? There's no vessel for the revelation of the goal yet, and the correction of the right. There's no vessel for the revelation of the goal. Actually that can actually hide from you the goal, which is to use the vessels of reception. So what do you do in reality if they conceal the correction? Well, they don't really conceal the correction. They give you an opportunity to participate in achieving the correction purpose. The rule of to complete to take part, to give the right approach to the correction, and what turns it into having correction. If it simply give the correct attitude toward correction, how do you make it so there will be correction? We work with the two lines until we build the middle line. Where do you bring the other line? He is like, though mostly what lacking. So a few methods we diminish the right. There are a few methods we will read of they extended the purpose of creation. However, it is still forbidden to use its light, so where did they extend it to if there was no vessel to for? It there drew it to their vessels, but it was still forbidden to use. How can something be present in the vessel but you're forbidden to use it? What does it mean? Well, they found, let's say, the vessel of oil and they lit it up, they did everything, but still, they didn't have the power to light up all of the oils. Can you maybe bring it closer? The light enters the vessel or it doesn't. What does it mean that it enters and you can't use it? There are two things here, either the creator gives that state or he gives you a state, but the person sees that he's still incapable of working with it. What was the action of extension? What does it mean that they extended it for themselves? They do want to draw these lights from the side of the purpose of creation. They realize that it's not yet for them, it's too ear. It is still Hanika. Pertaining to what I understand here, the entire article here relates to left and right, that they're relative to your state. That's all this article question is in where a person is. What is the Torah in each state? What is the midline in each state? And in general, what is the Torah? It's a method of how do we add all the vessels to the middle line in order to bear on lighting the light of T. What we do on Hanukkah is that we work with candles with a small light, and on Pihim it is already a flame. It's already a great light. You can say the Torah is the creator. That's what connects both lines. I didn't understand the creator. The Torah is the line that connects both lines. The creator, yes, it's he's the source of the light of and the light of, and you can attain him only the end of correction, or always constantly along to the path. You can attain it along the way we do attain it in small parts. Bulgaria. One had to work correctly in the 10 with the left line, and the 10 were constantly drawn to the right line until we finished the war. And this is how we light up the candles. If it's still a small light, a weak light, a candle by it we buy through this hole, we get closer to the future states to understand correctly. Right line is the articles that we read, the lessons that you give us, and the left line is the analysis of what we're lacking in order to become what is described in the article. Yes, you can see that this analysis, the left line, we need it in the group. What are we scrutinizing when we will need it? We will discover that we are on this left side. That person works on the right line, tries not to have any intentions for himself but only for the sake of this. The creator, the friends, at what moment he begins to understand that it's a state of wholeness, that he finished the work in it, and he can make some scrutiny to decide, what am I lacking for the realization of the purpose of creation? At what point can we do it? The person feels, that person feels bad. You cannot be sad in what moment it happens. How to correctly make that scrutiny, that calculation right here. The main thing is the realization of the purpose of creation. How to think about what's lacking, how to make this calculation lacking is a complete connection between the friends, and then inside this connection the creator will revealed. So this complete connection is lacking in any given moment. An opportunity. Our thank you. What does it mean for a person to take the Torah upon himself, and also what does it mean to delve into the Torah? Thank you. If a person has enough powers of best, he can approach the Torah, he can delve into it, he can live in it, you can feel free in it. All depends on the extent of Elfad acquired. But for one thing, Yishal and Maram, I think I can somewhat understand the creator in the middle line, to shifting from right to left and back to right. For had to combine those two qualities into one state, yet at the same time. This seems to me a miracle. We do one and the other, and then the other, and the other, right and the left, and then left and the right, and then we understand what we can combine the two. What is in the exertion that it is so important, and without it we cannot attain spirituality. Vessels, without vessels you can't attain spirituality. Why do we truly have to exert an quality? To exert a labor means to bring the deficiencies in which you can feel the correct discernment's clear womancy to high friends. And do I understand it correctly that Hanika corresponds to Sumal and Pem corresponds to Sum? Not exactly, but there's something to it. Also, do you understand it correctly that in Hanika we still don't have the middle line and get the middle line in K? Is because yes, no, is it said still be, because in Hanika we still don't have the left line that we can work with, like in who? Yes, woman. 113. Oh, hello dear teacher, hello world. Plea. In order for the tin to reach the goal, all the candles must connect into one candle. That is that they will correct the vessels of pistol. Beth. Hello Robin. Friends, did the creator create us in order to correct us? Does he decide about where we, if he decides about everything, where are we in this equation? Yes, only the creator. We all depend on him. What is the lack of spiritual wholeness? Lack of vessels in a person in order to obtain the purpose of his development, correct this lack of wholeness and become worthy through the connection with the friends. Latin. Yes, the presence in the lessons diminishes. Does it mean that we cannot get corrections? The lesson goes down, then it goes up again and then down again. That's how I saw children of the cent, and they are few. What can you do? We need to continue moving forward, and more people will come join. Oh, and all in all, he'll make sure all the creatures in the world will enter the circle of the of correction. Another question. Sure, how does it influence the state of the 10? Does the work become more difficult? The work is not difficult, it is multifaceted, and that's what creates the difficulty to discern, to sort out, separate, and establish our efforts so they will push us toward correction. Woman, Moasalo, please tell me, we made this, we had this pause in Hanukkah. This pause can be infinite, maybe. We feel good in that state of pause, so what do we do next in order to realize it's only a pause and we need to take a step forward? Everything we have, we need to look for ways to be even closer to one another. Okay, good morning. With your permission, I'll read an excerpt and then ask the question. Says this means that the Torah is before them, but they do not exert in the Tam is the middle line, which is called the Torah, uniting the two lines with one another, meaning that through the Torah, called the midline, where there are the two qualities together, meaning the purpose of creation, which is a revelation of his godliness of the created beings, which is called the glory of their master. There is also the clothing of the correction of creation, which is the light offered, which is the right side. Therefore, when these two are separated, then the purpose of creation cannot be reshined to the created beings. This is considered they are not observing the glory of their master, but after they exert in the Torah, the purpose of creation shines in the words of the said. This is called the Torah. The in Israel and the Creator are one. The question is describes a state where we have, which we have exactly in the 10. On the one hand, if we respect other friends and we see the greatness, on the other hand we try love them, we have to connect it, and the connection in the 10 is like the round pin that he describes here. We need the help of the Creator. There here it says that it is achieved by exerting in the Torah. How do we unite these two lines so that we will reach the what is called the Torah in Israel and the Creator? One, by constantly moving toward connection. There's nothing besides this work only. Connection, your permission, rather that same transition from Tapiri, which are these two separate qualities. Here we are obligated to feel this pause, this transition, where we can just work and ignore this pause, stop and not relate to the pause. No, we must, because we are changing, replacing the with a seemingly all in one. We need other light of to receive. So what does it mean that we have this extension of the purpose of creation that more or less prevents the left to the left line to be illuminated? What's up, cause this again, cause this, so what does it mean actually that this extension of the purpose of creation is actually avoiding the left line to be illuminated? Can the left line cannot shine it because there's no light of it yet? Yes, so what's the question? We have to first take care of the L offered, and according to its presence to then draw the L of I don't understand the part of you have. Let's say you need to be able to receive correctly, but there also needs to be an extension is on this purpose of creation. So what is this function of this purpose of creation extra this extension that prevents the LIF line to be illuminated? The will to receive, we need first of all to have correction to use it in order to bestow in order to bestow, and when we reach it, the W to receive begins to shine with the light of these vessels of call them are shining with the light. We can then go to phase 2, and that is to receive the light. Was the difficulty here? Yet there it says here, let's say that it says that the article Fata and Pim are both regarded as left line, but in Yuka we're talking about, let's say, vessels of bestowing, and Pim we're talking about the correction of the vessels of reception. Translation, sorry, we forgot to translate for a second again. I said both the vessels of reception and the vessels of bestow. We require corrections. There are no vessels of bestow, all the vessels of the will to receive, and then we need to have the W to receive in different ways. We need to transfer it to the world to bestow. The quote that of course is relating to it says that in Kanika the AR says that both Kanika and Puma are regarded as the left, therefore the Kanika candle is on the left, although the right is called Hes from the perspective of vessels of P. The fact that the left illuminated, meaning it is forbidden to use, but this in itself is a great thing, that they already are extended through the purpose of creation. However, it is still forbidden to use. It's like what Con is asking is, what does it mean they already through the purpose of creation? What is the extension of the purpose creation if there's no light of, and these lights cannot be used, don't receive a lot of, because in truth there's no lot that can receive them can cover them, to be a vessel for them, and this intermediary state doesn't mean rough that. There's no middle line yet in Panika. Certainly there's no middle line. The middle line comes from the Creator. Already okay, thank you. Okay, why the reception of the light of is not considered receiving in order to be, but only bestowing in order to bestow can be received in order to bestow while light appears in the vessel. Right. No, but the action itself is receiving in order to bestow. You receive the light in order to bestow. Lots of is not the kind of light you can receive. It shines in the vessel in order to prepare the vessel for the reception of the the purpose of creation. Entirely is, well, there's something that's not quite clear here. Pleasure appears in the vessel is under restriction. It's not receiving the pleasure for itself. It has to bestow back to the Creator. Why is not considered receiving in order to bestow. What is he receiving pleasure from? What the ability to bestow from the feeling of the Creator, the feeling of the connection, whatever related to bestow. It's like a baby, but the action itself, it's not the action itself isn't bestow, there's no doubt, but it's like a baby. Is it truly, is it really receiving milk? No, not milk. Okay, I'm actually asking. I think I understand it, but I'm trying to understand the difference between receiving and receiving. Let's the following what's lacking in the so it will be a so we can receive in the manuk therean enough in order to receive in them. The G of question, what is the relation or the connection between the vessels of reception and the evil inclination? Vessels of reception are vessels of reception, and the evil inclination is the work with the vessel of reception with the intention to receive. Again, please. Sorry, what did you ask? I was asking about what's the connection or the relation between the vessels of reception and evil inclination. It says here there's a connection between them. Of course, the evil inclination is the will to receive in order to receive, and there's just the will to receive, simply the will to receive. That is not establishing the vessel is in order to receive. When does evil inclination become vessels of reception? When a person decides to use it this way for his own benefit, which is outside of himself. When a person wants to use the vessel of reception not for himself, not himself, is in order to bestow, then evil inclination becomes the reception. No, those are vessels of holiness. So I didn't understand this connection, so think about it. Again, he writes, however, only through actions. Awful, because with actions of bullets, easier to aim in order to bear, which is not so with actions of receiving pleasure. Get able to aim in order to bestow. What is the separation between actions of bestow and actions of receiving pleasure? Action of bestow is when you bestow to someone your intention to bring him contentment is going in that same direction. That's why it's called bestow. Bestowing in order to bestow, whereas acts of reception, when you receive in order to bestow, the action and the intention are opposite. So then it turns out the work is much more difficult. It's work with coarseness. That's why it's the phase 2 of the actions of his, and I believe that each one has actions during the day that he gets direct pleasure from them, immediate pleasure. Those are typically actions of reception. Right, so if I would have wanted with some effort, some inclination, that I will succeed in these actions to try to aim them to be in order to bestow. I know it's very far away, but at least this inclination, how hopefully I'm not confusing everyone. There is a sport that I enjoy very much, and I would have liked to clone it the direction of to do it in order to bestow, to start to play with. They bring a tree with coffee to the friends with the intention to bestow. Why do you get such examples of sports and other things? You have an action of giving where you give to the friends and try to insert into this coffee that you're bringing this, that they will feel good from it, and they will feel love from you. That's in this desire you wish to enter their hearts and to soften them up. I'll bring them tomorrow. They already gave out coffee today. Okay, don't forget about it. I will thank you again. Raw. What does it mean that they're not looking at the honor of their up one spiritual forces that do not consider or take into consideration other ones that the Creator put in order to bestow to one another? By then do they attain only we, or I forgot what he said exactly, but it's not clear if the state is bestowing in order to bestow. So what's the pressure for it to go to the stage of receiving in order to there? What does this transition happen? The transition meaning from the cause to the transition. It's the will to receive that's growing in a person and doesn't give him rest. Well, look who's left this tree. Well, let's start with though. When working in 2 lines, is there a middle line? No, so only working separately. Yes, so how do you determine it? Impossible. Can I ask another? When you have your friends here, thank you, good morning, prayer. The first gratitude is holiness, then comes the request. So is the third gratitude, is it in order to put a prayer together from the middle line? Yes, there was the third one. Yes, I want to understand why you put the Duke on the left because we won. That there are the Greek that disturb us and we want to run from them. If I understand correctly, we reject. Then we want to be in faith above reason. On the right, always on the right. So what happens? We find a point where we can really hold on to it on the right, and that's so why do you put it on? Oh, left. Who knows the answer? No one. So everyone write down the question, and until tomorrow we will scrutinize it. Good, we're moving onward. Sing a song. Verse. The shadow often churns, but then the heart awakens it wise and grows and longs to be concealed. Bana. Wise. For shall have. For. I. We're reading from the study of the 10F. Part 6. We are in item 45. 45. This is the meaning of what is written in the I'm asleep corresponding the last hay. Since and revoking the light. I mean sleep and also the letters of meaning a second. Since is the first and a second to the hay. It is known that the tays are hay. Tags are in the letters of the low 7. It follows that he is discerned as which are the dots. This is the reason that the sages of the congregation were called the eyes. Congregation as it is written, and if from the eyes of the congregation light. 45. Asleep corresponding to the last ha. Since in revoking the light of the breaking of the vessels was primarily in the phase of the last ha, and from that sleeping was extended to. This is why sleep is implied in the last. A is the first T, etc. It is written above that the lights that rose to man fall include all the of which are from down with the zone of it is known that these named after its highest tense the are called. He explains it pretty simply. Yes, sir. Next, these are the phase of the kings who ruled in the land of Edom and died. This is also the meaning of in the earth. Also land was unformed and void in Hebrew. So land is the last hard discerned as the Ashi is the one who was to and be informed in void, which is the matter of death, and the kings until the correction arrived. At that time it is said, let there be light, and there was light. This is also open your eyes and see our desolation. Again 46. These are the phase of the king who ruled the land of Edom and died. This is the meaning of and the earth was unformed and void. Lan is the last hay discerned as the Ashi is the one who was to and be, which is the matter of the death of the kings until the correction arrived. At that time it is said, let there be light, and there was light. This is also open your eyes and see your desolation. 477. In order to understand this verse we shall explain the matter of the it is said that there are 9, however they also have top discernments, which are the punctuation of a middle one such as sh, while the rest are at the bottom and the places under the letters. All this will be explained later. Again 47. In order to understand this verse we shall explain the matter of it is said that there are 9 of punctuation, however they also have top the sermon, which are the punctuation of n, the middle one such as while the rest are at the bottom and the places under the letters. All this will be explained later. 47. Into light top discernment, which are the punctuation of and middle one such as sh, while the rest are at the bottom. This is because 3 lights operated in the first nick in the vapor of the tab discerned as the of the first. This light is called for it shines above the letters, since the first is not considered actual light of but only as a where even during the G it does not unite into one with which are of who the second light is the vapor of which is the inner sun that shine. This light is called because it shines inside the vessels of ab. The third light is the light that impart a from down twig, which are extended from the by the coupling offer. Therefore these are discerned as the bottom below the letters, meaning extended below the vessels of the upper one, because these the end of the whole a pay or he writes that G the root has known. Then a writes how can be the of the root. What are you talking about? Whereas the written 47 he writes that the first isn't only the root of the nick, and even during the it doesn't connect with the how can be the as always the no. Where did you get that from? Here we're dividing the of, and from it all the other pim emerge, including the worlds of nick, from which all the consequences, all the results emerge. Where did you get that from? There's well what Ran Doofy says about the root where read item 47. Can the top discernments, which are the punctuation of and the middle one such as well the rest are the bottom. This is because 3 lights in the first, the vapor of the tab discerned as the p of the first row called this light is called the punctuation that's above the letters. There shines above the letters, since the first is not considered actual light of but only as a root. Even during the G it does not unite into one with it. Oh, which are the G of nick? Good, well that was it. So what do you mean that? So ask how can become The it depends on how we divide. The I don't understand. Mu is always a root, isn't it not? Always it can be the tail, it could be the root or the tail of another. P only towards. 48 now. All of the last 7 dots have the form of ud except for the first 2 and which are 2 ves. And the thing is that when we count all the uds in these 7 dots, there are 13 uds, which is 130 and get the same as in the while, indicating that the dots were out from and which are in 2v. Remainder G is 22, implying the 22 letters from which the vessels of were made. All right, let's see in the inner light. 48, all of the last 7 dots have the form of ud except for first 2 dots, since and are the root of all the dots is the right. Here is you already know that the of are divided called that exited. This division is because of the 2 hays that are joined together and rows. So the as a result the pen of were divided by way of lower hay in and then the explanation, the screen of phase 2 of clothing, which is the first he is named V. Here, since it is the phase of male, the last har which joined with this V in the is the dot inside the V, since a dot indicates the quality of Dutchman as a black dot that has no white in it. All however the connection of the dot with the V in that does not make it there but on the A come out, since the V is lying down and the dot is below it, namely found in A spark. The reason for it is that the exit because of this connection of the vermin of the spark and the spark, hence they are called come out from the words reduction and blocking that occurred by the ascendant connection of the lower hay in that now shine in the AP are in reduction and blocking as they suffer from to their entire level as phase 1. Since they are the phase of female of K, they need to receive an illumination from the male who is however, because of the in the vessel of they are no longer discerned as and cannot be incorporated in the male in that they have become the goof, hence these are discerned as being back however in and of themselves they as the says that they are in. But this is very interesting, since he thus tells us that the lower hay, which is the dot under the in theg, which makes the camp there, did not descend from there to the phase of or rather only the phase of fine, which is the line above the dot, which is like a descent by itself to the without taking with it anything from the dot, meaning the lower hay. Rather the screen in the P is only V without the D incorporated in it. In th has been clarified that the screen in the vessel of contains within a D and which are the fent and spark, meaning the form of the screen in the vessel of is merely an expansion of the contained in the meaning in the vessel of, and it is nothing of the however during the coupling of ab, which causes the lowering of the low har from th to the place of as in the beginning. The in the vessel of discerns and connects with the vessel, but that was only a that causes the opening of the because the place of the coupling that was in the form of blocking the lights has now been open. Wide is the return to the for then the light descended to the 7 low of thus you see how all other dots emerged from the coupling of the cam, and it has been clarified that after the descent of the cam out to the place of the P by the coupling of the 7 low emerged, it follows that these 7 dots emerged from the dot inside the cam out as long as the dot was incorporated in, and there was only the in the pair of the nick. The 7 dot could not expand from the down because the themselves were in the phase of P, and the in was in the phase of mal, called however after the descent of the lower hay to the place of the lights of the 7 lower SB opened and came out to their place. All the merit of the low 7 was extended from the dot, which is why they were implied in the form of u's, meaning only due, since they are not extended from the ferment, which is the but rather from the spark. It is written all of the last 7 dots have the form of vi except for the first 2 dots, which are 2 ves and u, for the above reason of es, which are incorporated only in and in the which is the form of an alone is which is the form of however there is only a dot in the, since they emerge from the dots went out from the, meaning that all the dots emerged through the descent of the low hay from the 22 letters from which the vessels of Nikim were made. The vessels are called letters, in the number 22 includes all the vessels. In reality, it has already been explained how all the said emerged from the coupling of, and then new vessels also emerged from them, called posterior vessels or right. Yes, what's the influence of fake on the letters? The on the letters by the expansion of for the entire process is more clarified. We know that without the we couldn't have can't read the letters. Well, we also learn that the letters are created from the right. That's how it is. The letters are like lumps and the are bringing them to life there, conducting them. Question, he says the have forms of letters too, that the is like so also that themselves are forms of letters. Well, what does that mean there? And if that are close to them there, and if that don't belong to, that they have roles that are more distant. Thank you. More Remove. Again I like a resolution on the state or is it? Like her dominant like an addition they affirm the vessels without which you cannot have any onward expansion of lights and vessels which is the process creation. Need to absorb. Includes it like an intermediate process because what I've learned now. What he wrote here it's something what that was described in the previous letters but he gave like another angle on the process of the expansion so you can stand its expansion without the no imagine to yourself if we wouldn't learn what is the world of Nick and what will we understand from the wisdom that all real vessels come from. Okay alright what do we have? PT20 for the one who attains first. Attains and in the end or first the letters and then that depends what level he's at and what exactly he's attaining but actually there's a combination here between what he attains and how much he attains the lower and the upper ones and the middle ones what is it it's light. Is the fulfillments is it the vessels themselves yes these are lights like that enters the vessel that is in the vessel and that emerges out of the vessel. Why are they around the letter V? No they're actually around all the letters we simply don't use them that way. Oh that's how it is they're being used only in the place that cannot be discerned the matter of where you're in 49 now. 49. Please. 49 it is not surprising that the vessels were registered and implied in the first. To the finest among them the thing is, the vessels for the rest of the were made of these first two, namely of the and they are the ones that engendered and elicited vessels for this field below them yet there is another reason it is known that the seven lower are the seven kings that die, the however the first ones did not die. It is also known that the death is the breaking of the vessel hence the seven other remained without a vessel but only, like which is, the however the first ones which did not die and remained with their vessels the lights become concealed and closed within the vessels and are named after the vessels, which are the 22 lights implied in the Kamen as we have mentioned. Okay we'll move to the next Paboda. We're reading in the writings of Beware Illa, article The Wisdom of Ab and Philosophy. We are in the heading The Origin of the Soul. The origin of the soul. Everything spiritual is perceived as a separated force from the body because it is no corporeal image because of that it remains isolated and completely separated from the corporeal in such a state. How can it set anything corporeal in motion, much less get anything physical when it has no relation by which to come in contact with the physical? Again the origin of the soul. Every spiritual thing is perceived as the separated force from the body because it is no corporeal, however because of that it remains isolated and completely separated from the corporeal in such a state. How can it set anything corporeal in motion, much less beget anything physical since it has no relation by which to come in contact physical? It's really a question of meaning. We pray for someone to be healthy and he becomes healthy, prays this internal thing, and that's even more difficult. More questions. What is corporal? Oral is what is before us in this world and what depicts the reality, a force that exists in nature that depicts in our senses all these things, and it's not the reality, it is a reality that we grasp because we're only in this reality. We don't have anything besides. This is talking about spirituality and I feel all the time like it's something I'm not touching and I won't touch. We can't discuss this. No, but I'm not touching, I won't touch. Where you have there's a pro, where do you have that proof? From how do I relate to talk about spirituality not as a philosophy if I have no grasp in it whatsoever? So you don't relate to it if you want to be true. You can relate to something that you don't grasp. How can we never live because I want to read it and I want this? What do oh want something above this world, something that's more godly, or I don't know what we about. So if you change your senses, your desires, and according to that level that you want to attain, if you succeed you will feel it depends on the desire, only the desire of course. Except for the desire there's nothing in this world influences us so that we can influence back on the world. What can more? Yeah, is feeling something spiritual or corporal? Feeling is a feeling no matter what level a person is on. Meaning is it something that there is a connection between? Is it a transition between choral and spiritual? Feeling is an inspiration in the vessels, and when a person gets that inspiration he can determine in his vessels. Can you pass an impression that is in choral vessels for it to be in the spiritual vessels? No, it's a completely different level of senses. Oh, feelings that can't happen. Meaning a spiritual feeling needs to be something completely new. Yes. Yep, I wanted to ask corporal and spiritual after all. When a person starts to study, understand there's no corporeal actually, and it's all tricks and the intentions, and we have to correct them. So can I manage the style or recruit All these specific situations that were given to me. And how am I supposed to model? Should I neglect it, move it aside, or look at it and say, okay, what are the messages that I'm receiving through this? That's what the wisdom of Kabul speaks about. I can't answer it in one sentence, woman Hebrew. To thank you, I heard you saying that the whole spiritual perception depends on our desire. Does a person have some kind of control over his desire? Can he change his desire? That's exactly what we learn about in the wisdom of Ab, how to change our desire in order to understand what we can grasp in that desire. In a great way, yes, but there's an environment and everything. But can a person see that he has a desire that's following him on the path, and it's like battling, I don't know, ghosts? That's he. No, that's not true. Everything was given to a person for him to relate correctly to all the types of desires that awaken in him. How do we correctly relate to a desire that bothers you on the way? The desire that bothers you on the way, first you need to remove it as quick as you can through studying Torah and connecting with the FR, and the main thing is through the prayer to the Creator, so for him to take the bothersome desires that BT 24. So how we're also part of the work. Part of our work is to depict and describe this whole picture above reason. So how can we do this work if we have no understanding or feeling in spirituality? If we feel how the Creator is bestowing upon us, in those same channels we can bestow back to him. Keep going. Yes, so wait. Here in this article and in others makes sure that he describes this separation, the disconnect between spirituality and corporality. There's much confusion in our world on this. Right? Why is there such confusion around spirituality and corporality? Confusion between spirituality and incorporality comes from the confusion in us that we do not know what in order to receive is. In order to bestow corporal, spiritual, what we need to do, it's all. The confusion is in us, and that's not clear as what to receive is and what to bestow is, and we try to scrutinize spirituality and quality even before its clearness. Is this the source for the whole confusion? So what does a person need to pay attention to before he gets confused? And between these two, how to begin to make order in this whole mess? So that's what we learn about from the articles of society. First of all, the social ratings. That first you need to connect with the friends and to know the gaps between us and in that one vessel that we're trying to resurrect. We want to feel one Creator, and it's in this way we can draw the light that reforms, and it brings us closer to perceiving the correct form of reality and how not to deviate from this direction. For this side only by holding on to the friends. There's nothing but that you have, and this world can connect you to the spiritual world. Nothing, it's either this or nothing, either together or death. Maybe one more scrutiny about reason for the attempt to scrutinize spirituality and our intellect and our tools and our vessels. And before we even have such vessels, if we're all trying to understand spirituality and trying to, that's our problem, that we want to understand it in our mind, and it is entirely attaining the Creators in our emotions, our feelings, and it's not the one we have from birth, but by inverting it, or we will invert the I wanted to ask, philosophy comes from the Greeks, right? That's what we say. Why is it not a religion, and why does BAM actually come from them? Actually the wisdom of Kabbalah before philosophy was in philosophy. That why isn't it another religion? I don't understand what's in the philosophy. Philosophy is a method, teaches a person how to relate to nature in order to get wise organ, the picture of nature in a certain way. Religions have a different method than philosophy. They want to attain nature in a different way. Yes, religions are based on faith, and philosophy doesn't include faith. A philosopher, each and every one can be one, no matter who he belongs to. We see that says other religions not confronting them. It's like they're like traditions and customs. That's okay, and he actually goes against he calls it the despicable or something like that. Philosophy is like against the true perception of reality that he wants to attain. The thing is that philosophy, this connects you from reality, and it builds a different reality. Philosophy, that's a danger about philosophy. Thank you. There are 4 desires, 4 degrees of desire, and the 4th highest desire before spirituality is knowledge. Philosophy is actually on the level of knowledge, or that those who are expressing these things is from knowledge. Where do they take that from? There in the will to receive. So it's the will to receive, but still the desire that operates is our knowledge. Can we understand it the way those kinds of forms of nature that are revealed before them, and they connect it with whichever way is convenient for them? Look at what you find in philosophy. What types of forms there? I don't think that it is possible to research from studying nature or researching on behalf of nature. I'm not trying to say that it's a replacement for faith, that's clear, but It's simply an expression of people that are in that desire their desires to understand their reality through this tool called the intellect, or to take advantage of reality from the intellect. But that's the vessel, that's the instrument. Using if we're asking what philosophy is, maybe that's the right way to look at philosophy, simply an expression. To look at what they're talking about as much as their imagination they're developing. Imagination in order to depict some kind, a form of nature, right, and they use it throughout history to justify the exploitation of people. Right, yes, it's in the will to receive. There's no argument, but it's like they're giving it a form of understandings, not from wanting money or honor, but rather they wanted the understandings, and that they bring every generation brings some kind of new understanding. Philosophy and philosophy there's a part that somehow is close to science and part that is religion, and sometimes it's very hard to see the difference between the two. That's why all of the philosophers, as much as they disconnect from religion, or could disconnect from religion, so they were scientists, part of them were even more religious. That's why eventually through all those forms that they took upon themselves, they acquired some place in some honor in human society. But all in all, today we see that almost all of them have got off the side. Yes, but they left us the science stem from philosophy. Everything stems from something, but stem not from philosophy, but by disconnecting themselves from philosophy and started developing, or kept developing only through the mind, not to receive anything as though. That's why science and philosophy is already what can you do. For a long time it doesn't go together, okay? Yes, asking from Isha about the connection between corporal and spiritual. How can you understand the sentence that we learned? There's no lay below that moves without an angel that's above, that controls it and tells it that on every object of this world there is a force bestowing upon it and pushing it to develop. Hey, Beth, I see the danger in philosophy, that their initial intention, their reason is not to include creation and the reason of creation. That's the immediate danger, and it defines and it closes us up in ease that we're supposed to be open. Oh, okay, that's what you think. Okay, more questions? None. So the heading is the acidic element. However, the truth is that the force itself is also considered a genuine matter, just as any corporeal matter in the concrete world, and the fact that it has no image that the human senses perceive does not reduce the value of the substance, which is the force. Take a molecule of oxygen as an example. It is a constituent of most materials in the world. If you take a bottle with pure oxygen, when it is not mixed with any other substance, you will find that it seems as though the bottle is completely empty. You will not be able to notice anything about it. Will be completely like air, intangible and invisible to the air. If we remove the lid and smell it, we will find no scent. If we taste it, we will find no flavor, and if we put it on a scale, will not more than the bottle, the empty bottle itself. The same applies to hydrogen, which is also tasteless, odorless and weightless. However, when putting these two elements together, they will immediately become a liquid, drinking water that possesses both taste and weight. And if we put the water inside active lime, it will immediately mix with it and become as solid as the lime itself. Thus the elements oxygen and hydrogen, in which there is no tangible perception whatsoever, become a solid body. Therefore, how can we determine about naturals that they are not a corporeal substance, just because they are not arranged in such a way that our senses can perceive them? Moreover, we can evidently see that most of the tangible materials in reality consist preliminary of the element oxygen, which human senses cannot perceive or feel. Moreover, even in the tangible reality, the solid and the liquid we can vividly perceive in our tangible world might turn to air and fumes at a certain temperature. Likewise, vapors may solidify when the temperature drops. That event we should wonder how one gives that which one does not possess. Clearly see that all the tangible images come from elements that are in and of themselves intangible and do not exist as materials in and of themselves. Likewise, all the fixed pictures that we know and use to define materials are inconstant and do not exist in their own right. Rather, they only dress and undress forms under the influence of conditions such as heat are called the primary part of the corporeal substance is the force in it, though we are not yet able to tell these forces apart. As with chemical elements, perhaps in the future they will be discovered in their pure form, as we have only recently discovered the chemical elements. What can we say? That desire is a force. Yes, make a desire which is a force into matter. He's explaining here how you can make force into matter that we don't feel. You don't have an ability here. He's kind of trying to explain that the elements that we don't feel, so you have a foundation, an element, that from it you want to reach a different element. Yes, It's a force, this element is a force. It begins as a for know me that we don't feel it, whether you feel it or not. That's what he wants to prove to you, that it doesn't have anything to do with determining what it is. So how can I define what a force is? Force is defined according to what works in reality in front of your eye, and you see that there's some action, thong, motion, and according to that you can determine it's all towards the person attaining thing. UK next no G what. Dad, we say that also philosophy and actually make odd a reality, because there's a tangible reality, what we feel, what we see and what we don't feel. The difference is that philosophy doesn't something that they never saw or attained, and the see are making the order according to that which they reveal in practice, meaning philosophy supposedly opens swims upon all of reality, no matter who are, including the creator, inside and so on, and the wisdom of Kabbalah is only according to a person's attainment. How does person have the audacity or this daring feeling that he can attain something reality that he has not attained from the creator? Mean philosophy also comes from the creator in order for what it's like all the evil inclination that we want to know and understand and touch and feel, that which we don't attend yet. The well, there's nothing here. Let's see, equal force and spiritual. Oh, corporal, equal force in the spiritual and the physical. In a word, all the names that we ascribe materials describe materials are completely fabricated, meaning they stem from our concrete perception in our five senses. They do not exist in and of themselves. On the other hand, any definition we ascribe to the force which separates it from the material is also fabricated. Even when science reaches its ultimate development, we will still have to regard only the actual reality, meaning that within any material operation we see and feel, we must perceive it operator whose also substance like the operation itself. There's a correlation between them, and they would not have come to if we must know that the saying separating the operating force from the operation from the formative philosophy, which insisted on proving that the spiritual act influences the corporeal operation, that resulted in erroneous assumptions such as the above, which Kabbalah does not need yet, because it doesn't leave any forms in our imagination. It brings us to revelation. Okay, what do we have today? We have the schedule for our programs today. Attend the news program at noon, lesson at 5:30 p.m. we are reading the study of 10, and at 7:30 we're reading the Z, and we will 7:30 again 10 a.m. the news program, noon the afternoon lesson at 5:30 p.m. 1730 reading the study of T fields at 7:30 p.m. There's all reading, that's the normal way. Okay, what's your impression from yesterday? That we had that as such a connection. There's a very special feeling of connection the whole CLE, but I wanted to ask a question. A friend in the 10 said that after the convention, the big convention that we had here, that he's afraid of the unit evening, because there was a feeling like we drew lights, not that we didn't manage to put into the vessels, and he was scared. There was a feeling there was a special evening yesterday. Can you relate to this? I can't hear you. I thought that it was a special evening. Also, I couldn't fall asleep after it. It was very strong, very emotional, and it's worth doing more of this. How do we make sure to sustain that from such an evening? The abundance of the light and the good that was drawn from the connection between us, that's it. But enter the right place and not to fall from it, be closer to one another. We don't need anything. All of the actions are done by the light, and we just need to give it a place to work. Okay, let's hope that we will, as soon as we can have more of those evenings. Okay. Yes, do you have anything to add? We talked yesterday already that we should do every month such an event, this kind of virtual event that's convenient for everyone with such conditions. Well, we're very, because we dealt with the content, but we receive many impressions from friends that there was good connection, a lot of feeling. There were 3,600 friends connected, many gatherings that we saw. That was also many other friends that gathered, many tens gathered physically together, and we felt the connection much more than that would do. Though, I think first of all I wanted to say thank you to Rob for joining us for the beginning of the evening. There's no doubt that it catapults everything to a completely different level, and it's like the CLE really needs and wants that connection with you. And altogether there was a very big quantity of people that gathered from the whole CLE, also faces that you don't see, and gatherings that we didn't expect to see. All of we saw on the screens, many groups. It's special. It's like you can really see that there's in the society the desire for even more step forward. There's a seriousness in the CLE maturity, and we need you to help us, guide us correctly of what we need to do always. In that next step, everything I'm able to you will receive. All right, have a good day. Oh, what? Yes. Please, I wanted to continue Ot's question, because it's something that's been rising here. I've heard this question in several places already, as if We have a very strong event of connection, so as a result of that later something negative gets broken out in reality. Mean with outside of us it was powerful and connecting in. The next week the war broke out open. What there wasn't known that there's going to be a war it was. Obvious people are kind of like concerned now we had a strong unity. Evening, can it be that because of that something negative will happen in the hot pro reality? I don't think we have to make such connections. On the contrary, from all of our work in connection should be a higher, stronger connection, more practical and bring us closer to the goal. Yes, we'll conclude with the song.